my live stream tonight. Tonight's topic is grief and loss and kind of how to deal with it. I've been through a lot of grief and loss in my life. I've lost my twin brother when I was younger. I lost multiple friends. So tonight's topic, I just want to be able to get people to start kind of discussing things that they're going through, and kind of I want to be able to answer questions on how I got through things. So, um, to the first person that's on, I thank you for being on. Um, where are you where are you coming from? So I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I had my first live stream last week, and um, my goal is to be able to help as many people as I possibly can, because honestly, going through grief and loss is it's tremendously hard, and especially if it's like it's something that somebody hasn't really dealt with. When I went through my grief and loss, I was incredibly young. When I lost my twin brother, I was 4 years old, and nobody really prepares you for that. I think being a 4 year old, you barely understand regular life as it is. And then, you hear about or you notice that something is missing in your life and you miss it, but you don't really comprehend and understand why it's gone. Um, People say like death is just like a word, but so that was my first dealing with grief and loss. And then and that one kind of it. I mean, I still grieve for it today. Honestly, like I still have nightmares sometimes. I still have like vivid dreams. Like for context, my brother drowned. Um, so I was 4 years old, and I couldn't really do anything to stop it. It happened in front of me. So now, like I'm at like the age where like the dream I had the other day is like, could I have done something differently? Could I have stopped it from happening? Could I have saved him? And like, of course, I know the answer is no, because like at that point, I didn't know how to swim. So, uh, but like after he passed away, all I know that he was gone, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. The main focus of my channel is like being a father. Um, so I didn't really have the support group when I was younger. Like my dad wasn't really around, and he didn't really give me the support I needed. So when my brother passed away, I was a lot on my own a lot, and I kind of sought for sources that would kind of comfort me and make me feel better. And a lot of people abused me because of that, and I dealt with bullying because of it. When you're a twin, like you have this unspoken bond, and when he was gone, it just kind of I felt alone. I was just a lonely little kid, and when I started getting a little older, I tried to mask my emotions with my humor, which my humor still goes to these days. If you follow my channel, I do my dad jokes daily. But like humor and joking has always been kind of my way of disarming people. And well, Stephen, I apologize. You hate everybody. I don't think this is probably the stream for you if you're feeling that way. If you've been dealing with grief and loss, this is the right place. But um, so my next dealing with grief and loss was when I was older, and I lost my uncle and my grandfather like in a 12 month time frame. And like again, like my family was kind of separated, so it didn't really impact me as much. um like obviously I knew it was somebody with the same last name as me, and somebody that looked like me, but like I was able to kind of work through that because I didn't have that closeness to them. So like when you don't have that closeness, even though it's like in your family, it's like you're sad because you realize that a part of your family is gone. But if they're not really around, your connection to them isn't really there. So the next one is like the really the that I talk about a lot.
Like
That
I was able to kind of work through that.
effect on me. I didn't have that closeness to them. Oh, when I was 21 years old, I had an estranged relationship with my mother. She had a lot of mental illnesses when I was younger, and I had a lot of resentment towards her because of it. So when I was 20 years old, I finally decided to put the everything behind me, and I got to be close to my mom. I started to like talk to her and hang out with her, get to know who she was as a person. And pretty much as soon as I got close to her, we went to the doctor. She was feeling sick, and they gave her her terminal diagnosis, basically that she was going to be passing away in like 2 years. Um, and honestly, that was the hardest part. I think, like for those instances where they're given like a diagnosis of loss, it's almost harder than the ones where it's taken from you like in the moment. Because in reality, you're starting the grieving process before that person's even gone. And like there was like moments where my mom was like you try to ask what's wrong, and like you know exactly what's wrong, and like you can't do anything to comfort them. You can't say anything. There's no magic words. Um, and there was like a moment where she got sick and she went to the hospital. And then I would go to visit her, and because of the chemo and stuff, she would try to like she was like delirious and kind of loopy, and she would try to pull the stuff out of her arms and stuff. And because every time I went there, I took her out. But then like 2 weeks later, she was in hospice care, and my brother called me and said that my mom was gonna pass away. And I went in, and like the moment I saw her laying in bed, I kind of lost it, and I like basically apologized for being a bad son, and like that's how I felt. And she passed away a couple minutes later. And I was 21 years old when this happened, and I think like the hard part about going through grief and loss when you're younger is that like especially like nowadays like I'm older and like more people have dealt with it and it's more common because I'm 40 years old now, and like it's commonplace for people to get older and to pass away. But when you're 21 years old, like you're just a kid. And I had a lot of resentment, and I think the resentment part is the part that's hardest with dealing with grief, especially when you're going through loss, because you kind of go through the stages of regret. And honestly, that's what made the grieving process so hard for me was I had so much regret because I mean in reality my mother wasn't ever healthy. And then when I got close to her, you kind of only see the good parts of people when they pass away. So my mom wasn't really there for me the way I needed her when I was younger, but because at the end I had that closeness with her, that was the memory I carried of her. So, like in my mind, I was angry at myself for, um, you know, not being there all the time when I probably could have been. But in reality, I was still just a kid, and like after that, I kind of shut down. I went to work. I kind of tried to find things to distract myself, and most of the stuff wasn't good. Like I was partying a lot, going out. Um, so my mom passed away in June, and then in November, my paternal grandmother, she had Alzheimer's, and I kind of knew the end was coming, and she had dementia. And when she got her terminal like time left, when I would go to visit her, she thought that I was my grandfather. So it was incredibly difficult to. I remember going with my mom and she wasn't herself. I went to go visit my grandmother and she wasn't herself. And like in that time, like you want to spend time with them and you want to maximize whatever time you have left with them. And just like, especially with like dementia and like when you walk in there and they think you're somebody else, like that's hard for a kid. And I was just a kid at that point. So then my grandmother passed away, and that was in November. Then a couple months went by after that, and then my maternal grandmother passed away, and hers was sudden. Hers came from she was in a nursing home, and she choked to death, and uh, that just tells you like the sometimes that these nursing homes don't have like the best staff and best people on that they can allow things that like that to happen. So like in that 6 month time frame, I never really had a moment to kind of like take a moment to actually get through and process what was going on. And I think through the grieving process, I think in the beginning it's a little easier because people are always checking in on you and they're asking, "Hey, are you doing okay? Or is there anything I can do for you?" Um, but then eventually people stop asking, and that's when the time is really tough because you're sitting with this pain, this heartache, and nobody's checking on you anymore. And that's what's really that's when it gets really difficult because you still have these feelings, but you don't want to burden people with your feelings and your emotions. And especially when you're younger, like being in the social circles, like people kind of people look at you differently when you're going through grief and loss, and like they kind of look at you as a Debbie Downer when you're around, and they feel sorry for you, and a lot of them don't really feel empathy. Like they feel sympathy for you, but when you're younger, like it's few and far between the amount of people that actually go through significant loss at a young age. And thank God that's actually a good thing. Like I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. So, but that's kind of why I wanted to kind of have this discussion, to kind of let you know like the things that I went through and kind of the ways that I got through my grief and loss. So at that point in my life, I wasn't really doing anything. And at this point, I wasn't really into my faith. And, but I knew I had like a higher power, and I prayed, and like at this point, it was a lot of anger because I'm like, you took my brother, you took my mom, you took my grandmothers, like you took my uncle, you took my grandpa. My other grandpa passed away before I was even born. So like at such a young age, I had such a base of knowledge for what grief and loss was. And it's like, can this stuff just stop? Um, I think once I was able to kind of like work through the loss, I was able to use them being gone as a motivation in my life. Because the way I looked at it is, especially when it came to my brother, because my brother was only 4 when he passed away, and we were identical twins. And so when he passed away, and then when my mom passed away, it's like I need to I need to do something with my life to make their loss, like I need to live for them. I need to make the best of myself because I have an opportunity to live my life and they don't. Um, and that is incredibly motivating when it came to like for myself, like I talk about on my channel, is that I grew up in poverty. So uh and I didn't do well in school. And at that point, when my mom passed away, I wasn't doing anything in my life. And I decided that I didn't want to be a loser anymore. And I decided to go to school. And that was my motivation, was my mom and my brother and my grandparents. Like I wanted them to be able to look down from heaven and to be proud of the man that I was becoming. Now I wasn't there yet, but I wanted to be motivation to them to, like I wanted them to be proud of me. And that's what pushed me to always work hard in school, to always make sure that I was going to work and I was working hard to make sure that I was making the most of my opportunities. Um, so when I finally did graduate from college, like that was like the first thing I did is like I went to the 50-yard line of our stadium, and I looked up and I was like, I did it, thank you. And then I started to get I started to fall more into my faith when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I think my faith kind of gave me a little more peace when it came to thinking about loss. Um, because in Christianity, like we believe that like when you pass away, and if you're a believer, that you go to heaven and you have eternal life in heaven. And when you have that mindset, you see being here on earth as just a temporary thing, and that ultimately I will see my family again. And when I get there, it'll be like I wasn't even gone that long. But I think the deaths that I've dealt with post that have given me a greater sense of clarity. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like each of them still provides their own certain levels of pain and heartache. But I think when you have that mindset that like them being gone is temporary and eventually I'll be with them again and I'll see them again, I think that helps you move along. And but for those that are grieving, like I want you to know like the pain process, like you go through all the different stages. And I think that the pain that we feel is due to the level of impact and importance and connection that we had with them when they were here. And that's why it hurts so much because like there's this major part of you that is gone now and you can't replace it. Like that's why like one of the things I emphasize with people is like don't hold on to anger, don't hold on to regret and all that. Because people who haven't experienced loss, they don't understand the fact that like when they're gone, they're gone. Like people think about that in hindsight and they think about it like in theory. But the actual process and like actually understanding that the person you love and the person you care about isn't here anymore and you can't talk to them anymore, that's really hard. Um, and it's like it's weird. Like part of the process too is like I've had so many dreams about like my mom, and it's weird. Like the dreams are always I'm getting on a plane to go visit her, but I never get there. I never see her, and um, like with my brother, I have an 8-year old, almost 8-year old son. He turns 8 next week, and my son looks so much like me. So I see a lot of my brother in my son, and I see a lot of his characteristics, and I see a lot of his personality in my son. Um, and again, we were identical twins, so we look the same, but we definitely had different personalities, and we weren't the same personality wise. um, but like, I do want you to know that like the process is hard. I would say honestly, like the first year of loss is the toughest. And the reason why I say that is because in that first year, you're going through every experience for the first time. So, like, my mom passed away in June. So, like, I had the first 4th of July without her. I had her first birthday, which was in September, without her. I had my first birthday without her. I had the first Halloween without her. I had the first Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, all the holidays, Easter, and like these holidays that you're normally with your loved ones, like having those reminders is hard. And especially if you're old enough to be able to like make memories in many different places, uh, the triggers are is the one thing like I would if I could go back and do things differently, it would be to kind of take those triggers head on because one of the problems is that like your natural response is to kind of retreat away from feeling certain things so you avoid the places that make you think of the places that bring you pain, so you avoid them. But then the problem is that when you kind of eject from those situations, when you eventually are put in those situations where those triggers are there, you don't know how to you don't know how to deal with the emotions. Um, so, for example, I went to a wedding like maybe like a year after, and there was a couple of weddings there, and I'd go to the wedding, and I would see like the mother son dance, and that was incredibly hard. Like, and again, like that was a couple years after she passed away, but it's like once you start going through these things, you imagine the stuff that you're not gonna the the people that you love are not gonna be able to see. So like when my mom passed away, I knew that she would never see me get married. I knew that she would never see my children. And that broke my heart because I was the youngest of 8 kids, and I was the only one that wasn't old enough to have children yet. So um, when I realized that she wasn't going to be there for when I got married, she wasn't going to be there when my kids were born, uh, that was really hard. And I mean, luckily, I had a stepmother that was a good fill in for kind of that mother figure that I needed. Um, but that's kind of where I want to open up the discussions. Is I know and I understand the emotions that you feel. I understand the different kind of losses. Like I understand a friend passing away and the way that feels. And um, but I'll say like the one positive that going through all this has given me is that it provided me a greater sense of empathy. So I'm able to help others when they are going through grief and loss because I understand what they went through. Um, but the reason why I have this live stream tonight and why I kind of want to start doing these regularly is that, so one of my first videos was on loss, and there's not a really big niche on it for on YouTube. And like, I want to be a support place for people that have questions, and like, I want to start conversations and to be able to help those who are going through similar situations. So, um, I guess that's kind of where I want to lead this is anybody that's watching the stream right now, if you've gone through grief and loss, if you've experienced loss and trauma and anything like that, like I would love for you guys to put maybe the name of the person you want remembered in the comments. If you want to tell me who you lost in the comments, what age you were when you lost them, how that affected you. I would love to kind of make this like a Q&A and kind of for certain situations that you guys go through, if you want to like ask those questions and I can cover that. Honestly, like people bringing up stuff and bringing up loved ones that they lost, if I can help in any way by anything that you guys put in the comments, I'd love to have a conversation start there. So, um, please feel free to jump in and talk about anything you want. And if you want to share who you lost, if you want me to pray for you, you can just put their name in there. You can put your name in the chat, and I will definitely pray for you tonight. I won't pray on camera, but I will definitely pray for you guys. So let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what brought you to my stream tonight. Let me be of service to you guys. So I'll leave it there. If anybody wants to say hi, if you just feel free to put it down in the chat. So again, I don't know who's coming and who's going. So I don't know if the same people are coming back in and out. So um, again, just introducing myself. My name is Aaron. I'm a twinless twin. I lost my mom. I lost my grandparents. I lost an uncle. Um, I've lost so many people in my life that like it became a thing of normalcy to me. It's so if you're logging in because you lost somebody, please put their name in the chat. Please put your name in the chat if you want to tell me what happened. If you want to share your story, I mean, this is kind of a safe place for you guys to be able to talk and be able to share any stories. I would love to be able to help you. Hello, I see a couple different people, new people in the stream. Welcome. I appreciate you stopping in. If you're going through grief and loss right now and you lost somebody, if you'd like to put their name in the chat, if you'd like to share your story, personal loss or anything, my goal is to help other people. I lost my identical twin when I was 4 years old. I lost my mom and all my grandparents when I was 21, and I lost numerous friends after that. So I've dealt with a lot of loss in my life, and my goal of this live stream is that I can connect with you guys in real time. So if you're dealing with anything, please put anything in the chat you want to talk about, and I would love to kind of make this a conversation. These live streams make it kind of hard because I don't know who's if the same people keep coming in and out. So if you're new, say hi. Let me know who you're here to remember, who you're grieving, um, what you've learned through this process. I'm gonna put it down in the chat too if you guys want to say anything. So I said you have a couple of people in the chat right now, so I appreciate you guys watching. Again, my goal is to make this as interactive as possible. So um, if you guys want to check out my channel, I do have a couple videos on grief and loss. I have one about um, losing my brother. I have one about losing my mom. I have one about grief and loss when it comes to having a miscarriage and kind of grieving that process. So whatever is bringing you to my channel, if there's things that you want to discuss that there's you're not getting the support you need, I would love to pray for you. I would love to kind of address how I reacted in certain responses to certain losses. Again, I lost my brother, my mother, my grandparents, friends I graduated with. So hi guys, welcome to the stream. I see a couple new people in. Again, this is kind of an open forum to be able to discuss any grief and loss you might be dealing with. If you have any questions, I've gone through multiple levels of loss in my life. I lost my brother, my mother, my grandparents, and friends. I just want to be a resource for any of you that are going through something right now. Hello, pretty princess. What brings you to the stream? Are you dealing with grief and loss right now? Honestly, it's the best way to be able to kind of structure the conversation because I mean, I did go through my backstory. I did list all the people I've lost. I see there's more people in the chat in the stream now. So I'm an identical twin. I lost my twin brother when I was 4. I lost my mother when I was 21 years old. I lost my grandparents when I was 21. Um, well, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Um, But my goal is to be able to help any of you go through this process because it is not an easy process. And honestly, at certain stages in the grief and loss, that like you don't really want to keep telling people because you feel bad that you're constantly just you constantly feel like you're burdening people with your stories and the things that you're feeling. And um, like I said, the problem isn't like people think that they're burdening you by asking you what's wrong. But honestly, the hardest part is when people stop asking you how you are, and you kind of just sit on those emotions. And I think in those years, in those times, that it's important to find a support a support system. Whether it's talking to friends in the immediate aftermath, whether it's talking to a religious leader, whether it's talking to a therapist. I think the best way is to continue on and to have conversations and to be able to discuss who they are. You lost my mom and dad. I'm really hurting bad. I care for them all. All I do is cry. How old were you when you lost them? So you lost both your mom and your dad. Uh, that's that's incredibly hard. Yeah, I lost my mom when I was 21 years old, and even though I was an adult at that time, I was still a kid, and I wasn't ready to lose my mom. And I think what made it hard is being so young is still seeing all your friends and all them still have like normal relationships with their mothers, and like you want that. So your dad was 55, your mom was 59. Did they have cancer? Or was it trauma related? Like so, I'll give you a backstory. My mom died of cancer, and my brother passed away from drowning. And part of my loss, and I have PTSD because of it. But basically, I watched my brother pass away. So that that memory and that scene has stuck with me my whole life. Um, oh, you were 55 when your dad passed away, and 59 when your mom passed away. Um, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, it's hard losing your parents, especially if you were close. Uh, I think like one of the hard parts about losing my mom young was that like again like it was almost like grieving the loss of what I lost, but it was also grieving the loss of what was to come. Like again, like my mom wasn't going to see me graduate from college. She wasn't going to see me get married. She wasn't going to see my child be born. Um, and one of the ways that I kind of like I was talking earlier is basically the way I was able to structure that was once I finally came to faith and like I had a belief in God and like did I believe that like if we believe that like there's the promise that's given to us afterwards, knowing that like my loved ones and my siblings are in a better place and they feel no pain and eventually one day I'll be able to see them again. I think that makes things a little easier. Um, honestly, like breaking down is not a big deal. Like people think it's bad and it's um like it's a point of weakness. And honestly, like, this is like one of the things I want to I try to teach my son is that like it's okay to have emotions about things. Like um I mean the reason why we feel such pain for them being gone and we grieve through the process is because of what they meant to us in that time. And uh I think that like we it's hard to replace what they meant to us. And again, like I think we remember the best times and we remember uh, all that, and that's why it hurts us so much is because of what they meant to us. So I mean, I still cry. Like my brother died 36 years ago, and like I still break down sometimes. Like, uh, I miss what could have been, and um, sometimes I miss my mom, and like I'll have dreams, and I'll wake up in tears, and um, so there's nothing wrong with breaking down and crying. Like, I mean, honestly, I think crying is our way of showing that we still feel emotions and we still feel something. And I think it's important to be able to let those emotions out. Adoration pneumonia, mom had broken heart and kidney issues. Yeah, I think with especially the older couples, and like a lot of times like you'll see like one will pass away and then another few months or years will go by and the other one will pass away because that was kind of like their lifeline, like their life partner, and that's how um that's like the one component I can't really understand because my family dynamic was so weird. Like both my dad and my mom were uh had mental health issues, and we're never really like together, and I don't really have that nuclear family to remember and remember and think about. So from that component, I can't really understand. But I guess if you can think about all the blessings that you had in your life with them and all the memories that you made, I think those are things that can carry you. And especially if they're older, like the way I try to the way I come with comfort and peace at this age is that I realize that a lot of times at this age, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of it's hard for older people. Like they deal with aches, they deal with ailments and illnesses and diseases and weakness and not being able to get strength. And the one thing I think that like obviously a couple years ago, my step grandmother passed away, and she's like the closest thing I had to a grandma. And my son, it was his great grandmother, and we used to go visit her all the time, and he got close to her. And when she passed away, it was his first time dealing with loss. And like the one thing I could tell him was like at the end, she was in a lot of pain and she was sick and she was hurting. And when she passed away and she went to heaven, as soon as she got to heaven, she was being greeted by every single loved person and loved one that came before her. And they were welcoming her there with open arms. And there was no pain, nothing. Like, they say that when you go to heaven, you become your basically your prime self. So whatever age you are, where you're the best version of yourself, that's the age you are in heaven. So um, your dad was a teacher for 32 years. What subject did he teach? Was he high school? Was he elementary, middle school, college? Yeah. So like, I do want to just keep going with like this. I think coming to faith as in my more adult years, like I started going to church when I was in my early 30s, and kind of having that relationship with God, like it helped me. I think it helped me more for the losses I had post like losing people, and it did give me a little peace when it came to like the past. But like he was a high school teacher and taught electronics. I mean, like technology. That was like one of my favorite classes in high school when we made like those little circuit boards, like with the lights and the batteries and stuff like that. Um, yeah, that was one of my favorite classes. I wasn't a very good student in high school, but the classes I did find interested, I did apply myself. I did pretty well, so that's pretty awesome. I bet in his years in teaching that he had a major impact on a lot more people than he even understands. I look back and there are certain teachers that like I had like. I had staff that like didn't believe in me, and I had teachers that believed in me that worked hard, and like even though I wasn't a good student, they still believed in me and encouraged me. And eventually I did I did graduate from college. So like, but like those early on educators are the ones that I was able to remember that like I did have value to me. So um you should be proud of the fact that your father was a teacher and that he probably inspired a lot more people than you can even imagine. So did he do it for a long time? He said 32 years. So yeah, I mean that's, let's see, we figure one college or one education is 12 years. So I mean it's three generations. So I mean, you think about three generations of students and kids and like the impacts that he could have had and some of the creativity could have inspired and what people were able to do. So um, I think when it's easy to just focus on the loss part of it and to not move on. And honestly, like the reason why I started making videos is because I've seen so many people that they'll experience death or they'll experience loss, and they just don't have the ability to move on and move past and to live their lives beyond the death. And I just, my goal for people is that like you find ways of working through the emotions and working through the trials of going through the process of grieving, and that you're able to come out the other end of it. Yes, you're still going to always hold on to a piece that you're missing, and it's always going to hurt a little bit, but hopefully you can use the impact that those people had in your lives, and you can use it as motivation to move yourself forward and um, to keep moving forward and live life. Because honestly, like the way I think about it is the people we lose wouldn't want us to stop living. Like they would want us to take the gift that we still have of life and to keep moving forward and to live in honor of them and to, you know, make the best out of our lives. Because especially like if it's your parents or some like grandparents, like their goal in life was, or at least this should be the goal of every parent, is to give your children a better life than you had your own. So like I seen so many people like they just shut down after loss and they never become the same again. And then those people pass away. And it's like you had all this life left and you just shut down the moment that you lost them. And like I get it. Um like especially like if you did things that you regret, like if you said things you regret, you did things you regret, you can kind of have like a survivor's guilt thing. And I understand that part. And that was truly the thing that made my process with my mom last a lot longer than it might have, because I was so young and like I didn't see a lot of my mom when I was younger, and a lot of that was by choice. And it's like you don't think about the long term in the moment. And like I would have never have imagined that I would lost my mom at 21 years old. And there's nothing to really prepare you for that. Like if you're a kid and I'm like, well, your mom's gonna pass away in 2 years and 3 years and 4 years, like you can plan accordingly and you can live the most. But like in those years, I didn't want anything to do with my mom. And once I finally did have a relationship with her, it was too late and she was taken from me. So if your parents are still around, if your siblings are still around and you have stuff that you're going through and you're going through fighting, and it's stuff that's like little petty stuff, like my best advice is find a way to repair it. Because honestly, like again, once they are gone, they are gone. Like there's no coming back from them being gone. And um and I guess another grief and loss is I also lost my, so before my son, we had a miscarriage and we lost the baby or the pregnancy. And this was part of the this is part of the effect that you have when you lose people early on in life. Um, you you mourn what hasn't come yet. So like when your parents are older, you grieve the loss of the life that is being taken from you. When you're young and somebody else is young that passes away, you mourn the loss of what is yet to come. So like with my brother, I mourn not being able to grow up in high school with him. I mourn him not being an uncle. I mourn him not getting a job, getting a career, going to school, having a wife, having his own kids. Um, but like again, I think that there's ways that people that pass away still show up in your lives. Like I think that my brother was my guardian angel, and I think there was many circumstances where I feel like he saved me in ways that I don't even know. Um, so there's one movie that kind of helped me, and I want to put that down in the chat. It's Hereafter. I need a place and I wish they were here with me when I had it done, and I'm still having issues with my knee, and now I need to go back to PT, and they won't see me go back. Um, I'm just curious. Do you pray at all? Do you have a relationship with God at all? Because honestly, that's like one of the things that got me through was I think when you truly believe and like you believe that they're in heaven afterwards and like they're given the promise that I think they can still see you and I think that they can still hear when you pray. Um, so honestly, like church was one of the. I mean, nobody starts going to church because they're happy or they're going through a good time. It's always when something is going wrong, and I think once you truly allow yourself to get into the Word and you allow God to come into your life, when you stop asking God for like prayers as like wishes, and you start just praying for guidance and to be directed in the direction that He wants for you, I think you can come to terms with like that your loved ones are in a better place where they're not hurting anymore, and you can still talk to them and they can still see you, and especially if they were believers, like they definitely believe that they're in a better place. So if you can come to those terms and you can feel like you know that they're in a better place and you know you're going to see them again, it kind of makes the journey afterwards a little easier because you know that like you live life the right way, you do things the right way, you um you get to see them again. And that's not like wishful thinking, that's like that's what's promised to us with our belief is that if you believe with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, that you can have the promise that's given to us. And when you go to heaven, you'll have a group of people that are welcoming you, and um, they're there. They're going to be there to love you again, and you'll be your prime self as well. Um, so this movie I put down in the chat, it's the movie Hereafter. It came out in 2010. It stars Matt Damon. It was directed by Clint Eastwood. Um, this is one of the few movies like I think having an identical twin that passed away, it made it really hard to navigate life because you constantly ask why and you're angry all the time. And like, I think being an identical twin, like like I still every time I see another set of identical twins, I'm like, man, what could have been? Like, and I think about the fact that like there was two of me, and this movie Hereafter, like if you haven't seen, I don't really want to give a lot of it away, but basically it's people that have dealt with loss and death, and it's them searching out for answers to understand why what happened was. So I think I think it's in the preview. So like it's one twin that loses his twin brother, and he's basically searching for a way to communicate with him post like him passing away. And like this movie gave me like sometimes you see things that articulate what you're feeling, and you're able to find peace. Um, and I think there's certain moments that you're not prepared for, or in mediums that you're not prepared for, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, whether it's a song, whether it's a place, um, that you'll come to these experiences that will help you finally piece all the things that you're feeling together. So I appreciate you sharing all this stuff about your parents. Like I said, I do have some more videos. I do have one about losing my mom. If you ever have any questions, you can go on that on that video, and you can comment, and I I check all my comments. I respond to all of them. So if you have questions, if you're feeling certain things and you just want to write something in there, I will definitely pray for you. I'll definitely pray for you tonight. And um, it does get better. Like as time goes by, it doesn't feel like it will. But I lost my mom now 19 years ago, and it still hurts, but it's manageable. So if you're still in that stage where you're still having a lot of pain, a lot of crying, like that stuff is normal. So don't feel like you're abnormal for feeling that. But find just find ways, be around triggers, allow yourself to feel things. Um, honestly, like sometimes you need to expose yourself to the things that make you hurt. Like you need to be around those triggers so that you can feel those things and you can move on, and you can start living a life again. Because if you start going through all the processes, especially if they're older, there's probably like a lot of places that have memories. Like find ways of finding peace and having good memories and having those be positives rather than negatives. She works as a substitute lunch monitor, and they color a picture for the parents for Father's Day and Mother's Day, and it kills me when I go to the car. Um, that's a completely normal thing. Um, maybe this is where like the kind of living life thing comes into play. Is I think when you start having faith and you start believing that they're in a better place, and you believe that all this happens for a reason, and like us being here is such a short period of time, um, when you see like those pictures and the kids drawing the stuff, uh, if you can, instead of thinking about the fact they're not here, if you can remember all the good memories that you had with either one of them, whether it's on Father's Day or Mother's Day, and you can remember good memories or good things that they taught you and they gave you, and you can look back and you can smile because there's all these memories and love, that emotion that you can carry with you. And honestly, like that's what your parents would want from you. Like they would want you to continue living on and being the best version of yourself and thriving. Like they'd want you to obviously grieve them, but they wouldn't want you to grieve them forever to the point where you're not able to function in everyday life. So if you can start start praying or start just having conversations with God, and it's okay to be angry at him. So like those that are going through loss, like it's normal to be angry with God. Like he wants you to be angry at him. He wants you to have that conversation with him, and he wants you to get to a place where you can work through the emotions that you're feeling. And again, like there's no problem with crying and there's no problem with breaking down. It's just not allowing that to take over your entire life, that it's to the point where you're not living. Like, if you can think back and look at memories that pushed you, like that's the kind of the mindset I want people to be able to get to, is that like you can use you can use the loss of the people you loved as motivation, as inspiration and encouragement to live your life to the best of your ability. Because again, like your parents would want you to thrive. Like, again, our parents want what's best for us and want us to be the better version of ourselves. So they would want you to thrive and they would want you to remember them and the things that they taught you. But they'd want you to continue on living, so that you can find happiness. Because I'm sure they would not want to be looking down and seeing you upset and seeing you not living life to the best of your ability. So, um, I hope that helps a little bit. Um, Again, I'm not trying to diminish anybody's feelings or what they feel. I just want you to know that there is peace at some point and that it is obtainable. Um, so I hope that helped a little bit. Um, if anybody else is on and you just want to share something down in the chat, you want to tell me maybe who you lost, when you lost them, how old they were, what they passed away from. Was it natural causes? Was it cancer? I've dealt a little bit with everything. I've seen a little bit of everything. So you just need people to help you. So when you say you need people to help you, do you mean, like, can you expand on that? I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you mean. Um, so have you gone to therapy at all? Have you talked to a therapist? Are you part of any support groups? No. So honestly, like, people can't help you. I guess this is where I want to go with this. People can't help you unless you're willing to help yourself. And taking that first step and going out, getting in community, going to church, being around like-minded people, um, having people pray for you, going to the doctor, going and seeing a therapist, and honestly, sometimes talking to people that don't have any vested interest in, like, sometimes talking to a therapist is good because they're not trying to say what you want to hear. And sometimes when people tell you what you want to hear, it keeps you in this downward spiral. And sometimes that can be detrimental to your own health and your own well-being, because they'll keep you where you are. Whereas if you go to therapy, it will allow you to give a therapist can give you tools that will help you kind of deal with those emotions. And when you go through those triggers, instead of breaking down, you can rely on the stuff that they teach you. So when you are feeling those emotions, you can you can deal with them in real time, and you can have tactics and tools to be able to combat those feelings. So honestly, like, if you can find your way to a therapist, there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. I think it takes tremendous strength to be able to admit there's something wrong and to address it and take it on full time. Find support groups, seek inspiration for other people that have gone through similar situations. Like I'm here as somebody that has gone through significant loss, and I was able to find peace on the other side of it and to be able to use it as motivation to become the better version of myself. And I know that I carry a piece of my mom with me, and I know she's there motivating me, and I know she's looking down and she's watching me, and she's proud of the person I am because I kept moving forward. And I know that you can get to that place too. You just have to be able to, you have to push yourself. You need to be around triggers. You need to be around things that make you uncomfortable, because I feel like the most adverse situations create the greatest strength within us. So, um, how long has it been since they passed away? So you lost your mom first, or you lost your dad first, then your mom. Um, how many years ago was that? Hey guys, I see I have a couple new people in the stream. So basically, I've talked about my journey. I lost my twin brother when I was 4. I lost my mom when I was 21, and I lost my maternal and paternal grandmothers the same year. Right now, I'm just having conversations with people. They're kind of sharing their experiences. So, if you've experienced grief and loss, and you want to talk about the person that you lost, please put them down in the chat. Please let me know something down below, and we can steer the conversation that way. So you lost your dad 7 years ago, and you lost your mom 2 years ago. So after you lost your dad, you still had your mom around. Was it? Were you able to cope with it a little easier? Were you able? Did that having your mom still here? Did that help, or did you guys just kind of avoid it because you didn't want to feel those emotions? Hello, Soda Tab. Have you dealt with grief and loss? Are you here to remember somebody to that you need help in the grieving process? Is there something you want to share? Um, no, as a wreck around my mom. My mom kept telling me to stop crying. So I think I think the older generation, they didn't really allow themselves to feel emotions. Uh, you just had to like suck it up and take it. And I think maybe that's one of the benefits about this age in um, our world and our society. Um, well, feel free to let me know what's on your mind, and I would love to help you. Soda Tab. Um, so yeah, I could see probably why after your dad passed away, and you would talk to your mom, and she would tell you to stop crying and stop feeling it. That like you kind of pushing those emotions down. That when your mom passed away, you probably let a lot of those emotions out that you weren't allowed to, because you felt like you had to be strong for your mom, and that it wasn't okay for you to grieve if she wasn't grieving externally. Um, so, like, if there's anything I want to say, like, it's okay to let let loose on things. It's okay to find a therapist to talk to. It doesn't make you weak talking to somebody. Honestly, I always tell people, I'm like, being able to admit that you need help and to ask for help is such a point of strength that like you don't realize the progress you can make when you're willing to talk things out. And honestly, one of the good things about therapy in reality is a lot of times you sit with the emotions that you have and you keep them all dug deep down inside. And one of the benefits that you have when you finally do talk to somebody is that like you have the ability to speak out loud the things that you're feeling. And when you actually speak them, you actually hear them too. So you're hearing yourself feel these emotions. You can kind of see where your triggers are, and you can find the places that kind of make you feel weak, and it can allow you to take on those challenges head on rather than feeling you have to push them all down deep inside. So I would say try to find a therapist that specializes in grief and loss. There's a lot of good resources out online. Um, and there's a lot of YouTube channels where they talk about grief and loss. Uh, I started my channel as part of it because I've dealt with significant loss in my life, and hopefully know that some of the experiences I've gone through and the tactics and where I've come from that time that is able to help. I terminate. So yeah, I was actually talking to her about this and how my journey with faith and my relationship with God has allowed me to see death and dying in a different light than I did prior. Prior it was death was the final thing. Where is when I lose people after I found my faith and had my relationship with God, that it made me realize that when they pass away, they're not we are upset, but when they get there, they're in a place where there is no pain, there is no hurt. Um, so yes, I appreciate you bringing that up and talking about that. One of my grandmothers, we called her GM, passed away when I was young. Don't remember, and I wish she could have stayed with us longer. I have two siblings now. And has a memorial park or something. Also, don't believe in God. Sorry if I offend anyone. God. Um. So I lost my brother when I was 4, and it took me a long time to be able to deal with those emotions. And honestly, it's still hard for me to comprehend at times. I still have dreams. I have PTSD from it. Um. So it's normal to miss, especially if you were young. Again, I talked about this earlier, but basically, like, not only are your memories like you're not just hurting from the memories that you're hurting because of the memories that you're not going to make. So like when my mom passed away when I was 21. So at that point I wasn't in college yet. I didn't have kids. I didn't get married. I didn't have like a steady girlfriend at the time. Um, and when she passed away, she didn't get a chance to see any of these things. And but I appreciate you auto correcting or changing editing to God with an uppercase. So like I completely understand those feelings and emotions. But if you were young, I would say if you still have that connection, try to find ways of connecting with her. Find ways of talking to people that knew of her when she was younger, and look at older pictures and talk to people that had a relationship. And especially if you weren't around a lot, it can help you kind of understand and connect with the person that she was, and that can be a point of inspiration for you. Um, Also, I understand that like before I had my relationship with God, it was very challenging, and I think I had a lot of anger towards God, and I got mad at Him for taking things away from me. Like I was so angry at Him for taking my brother away, and I was so angry at Him for taking my mother away, and my grandmothers, and my grandfathers, and um, basically taking away all these people that were supposed to be an inspiration, that were supposed to be a part of my life and building me up. Um, and I had anger towards him for it. Like I didn't understand it. But when I got to the point where I was able to finally have a relationship with God, and I was able to understand, like, he doesn't control everything, because if he could control everything, then there wouldn't be sadness in this world. There wouldn't be anger in this world. There wouldn't be hate in this world. When God created us, he provided us with the ability of free will and to do with our lives as he will. And there's certain points where he can intervene, and sometimes he can, but um, I always tell myself is like, God, at this point, like, it's okay to be angry at God too. Like, he wants you to be angry. I mean, he wants you to have that conversation with him. So if you don't have a relationship with God, you don't believe in God because of the losses in your life, that's understandable. But like, God eventually wants you to have that conversation with him. Like, he wants you to come to him with your problems, and he wants to have that relationship with you. Um, and again, like, if you can muster up the courage to talk to people and have a relationship with people that you can discuss, like your grandmother, and that you can learn about who she was and you can connect with her that way. Sometimes you can connect with people that passed away beyond, because you can learn stuff. Like, I remember when my mom passed away, I lived vicariously through my siblings that had my mom around when they were becoming older. And I asked them, like, how was she when she did this? How was she when she did that? Can you tell me a little bit about like the things that she liked and loved? And when I had that stuff, I slowly I was able to connect with her. So, like, I'll give an example. So my mom loved Elvis Presley. Like, that was one of her biggest things. And when my son was young and he was 4, we started going to playgrounds, and I would start playing Elvis Presley, because that was a connection to my mom, and that was like a way I could have a connection with my son. And with the music, I could tell him, like, hey, my mom liked this, she liked doing that. Because ultimately he never had a chance to meet her, because he was born um, 11 years after she passed away. So um, the best way to learn about the ones we love is to talk to the people that knew them the best, and um, to be able to have those conversations and kind of learn and allow those people to still be a part of our lives. Like, they may be gone, and that's the part that hurts, is that, like, you can't talk to them and they can't talk to you back, but like, you can still have a conversation with them. You can still pray. You can still talk to them out loud. And like, I'm a firm believer, especially with like Christian faith, that like, we're all promised this paradise once we pass away. And if our loved ones believe, then they're in a place surrounded by people they love. And if you believe, and one day you'll be surrounded by people you love, and you'll be with those people again. And the time that you don't have them here on earth is nothing in comparison to the eternity that you're going to have with all of them eventually on. Like, really, like, the moments we have here is such like a blip in time. And when I was finally able to have that clarity, it kind of gave me peace. And again, I've used the loss I've experienced as a motivating force in my life. And um so, hey guys, I gotta take my dog out really quick, but if you give me like 5 minutes, I'll be right back on. Put down in the chat if you're going through stuff. Put it down there, and when I come back, I'll read through the chat. And if you're still on, I would love to keep the conversation going. So um, I will be right back, guys. All right, can you guys hear me now? If you can hear me, just give me a quick thumbs up. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Uh, all right. Let me look at the chat real quick. So honestly, just keep saying whatever you want to say. Like the whole point is this is to have an open conversation. I don't know if Humperdinck. All she want to do is listen to him and Alexa, and I would ask her if she wanted to watch TV or listen to Humperdinck. Always Humperdinck. Yes, I mean that's a good memory that you can keep along. And like I said, don't avoid listening to that because you think it's gonna affect you. Like, yeah, it's gonna hurt you, but like that's something that you and your mom had together, and it's something that you can continue to have, and you can have that be a memory that you have together. And then when you're listening, you can have those core memories and have that with you as kind of like you're coping. Almost also most of my friends were fake. One didn't want me going with my other friends, and maybe same year one got mad because I wanted to nickname my grandma. Won't use my pronouns. I use they them. Um. So how old are you? Just curious. Soda tab. So are you still in school? Okay. Are you under 25 or over 25? Well, the reason why I ask is because the grieving process is considerably different. So you're under 25. Um, Honestly, you're gonna go through so many changes in your life. Like the people I had in my corner at the time when things were going wrong, like I don't talk to a lot of them that were around me in that day. So if there's certain people that aren't there right for you right now, like it seems like the worst thing possible. But like as time goes by and you start to mature and you grow up, you'll find yourself around like-minded people that will support you and that will love you. And if you're able to have a relationship with other people and kind of build those communities and people, regardless of who we are and what we follow and what our community is, like we all share something in common. Like we all grieve, we all feel emotions, we all feel sad, we all feel angry. And that's one thing that can bring us together is our ability to connect when we both have similar stories. And again, like our siblings aren't going to be our loved ones aren't always going to be the same. They're not always going to be the same people. They're not going to be universal, but the things that we feel because we lose them is pretty universal. It's just how we decide to grieve. Um, Obviously, there's a certain stage where like you're going to go through certain stages. Like I talked about this earlier, like the hardest time is like the first year, and then the second year is hard, and then the third year is hard. But slowly, as you go through these phases and you start to experience things, you're able to find things that help you deal with the triggers that you feel and those emotions. Um, and I think so. This is just my opinion. Like when I think about like being an atheist when it comes to thinking about stuff, like I think it would be harder for me to deal with death if I was an atheist. And the reason why I say that is like a lot of the comfort that I have is that I have that relationship with God. So like again, like I was very angry with him when I was younger, and I was mad at him for taking my brother, and I was mad at him for taking my mom, and I was mad at him for taking my grandmothers, and I felt a lot of anger. And like I could understand why people would be angry with God. And again, like once I got to the point where I was able to understand that like God doesn't have a part in choosing the people that are taken from us, and being able to read scripture and understand that, like, especially if like you start reading about Jesus, like, and you understand that his point is to come into kind of like he's the promise and he's what uh basically he's making sense of everything. And but I almost think like not having the presence of God is almost as bad as, because honestly, like they say what hell is, like basically hell is supposed to be just, it's not dark because it's like there's no light. It's dark because there's absence of God. So in the darkness there is nothing. And like I feel like if you only focus on the worldly things, like it's hard to really come to peace with the fact that people that we love get taken from us. I think when you have the ability to think about things on a spiritual level, and I'm not saying that Christianity is like the only thing. Like I think just belief in anything and a belief in a higher power and a belief that like when I lost my loved ones, like knowing that they went to a place where there was no more pain, no more heart, no more hurt, that gave peace to me. Like I miss them because of the impact they had in my life, and like I can't replace what they meant to me, and I can't replace those holes that they used to fill. But having the faith in God and having the faith that I will have the opportunity to see them again gives me peace on earth, because I feel like when I've seen this, I have a family member that is trans and that is an atheist, and I watch him when his father passed away. Like he created this image of what his father was, and in reality, his father was never any of those things. And again, like one of the problems is that when we have loved ones pass away, sometimes we only see the good parts of them, and we don't see the bad parts. And we think about, again, he didn't have a good relationship with his father, so he never had those heart to heart moments. And when his father passed away, even though it was later on in life, he still had those unfulfilled connections that he wished he would have had with his father, and he didn't have those. And because of that, like every time he drinks, he gets severely depressed and starts like going on about like how great his father was. And uh I think that's like one of the hard parts about not having that faith, is that like when something ends on earth and you don't believe in anything, it just ends. Like there's nothing beyond that. Like I think what gives me peace in this point in my life is that like I'm able to every day thank God for the blessings that I have, whether it's being able to walk, whether it's being able to have the breath to live. Like, and I think about like being my twin brother losing, is that like God gave me the opportunity to continue on living and to have breath in my lungs and to be able to experience life, to have a son, to be able to wake up healthy and all these things. Um, and it's not to say like, I mean, you're still really young, honestly. Like you're going through phases in your life, and there might be a point where you seek the higher power. And I mean, there's so many atheists that I've seen come around, and if you ever do come around, maybe the way you perceive death and loss and the grieving process, it will just be different for you. And I'm not trying to put my faith on you. I'm just telling you how my journey has affected me, and how my journey through grief and loss has been transformed by my belief system, if that makes sense. So, but definitely surround your people with that, care about you. Um, like I was telling Pretty Princess earlier, is like the easy part is in the beginning when people are constantly asking how you're doing. They're checking on you. They're sending you texts. They're giving you phone calls. They're taking you out to eat. They're doing stuff to celebrate you. And the hardest part is when you get to the place where people just don't check on you anymore, and you're left to feel those emotions by yourself. That's truly when the hardest part is you sit alone and you stew in those. And if you don't believe in God, one of the things I would do that kind of helped me was um, I would journal. And I don't necessarily mean like journaling is like, dear journal, today I felt this. Sometimes if you're having emotions towards somebody who passed away, sometimes a a way that you can connect with them is to write them letters. And you can kind of use you can kind of use those letters as a gauge of to where your progress is in recovering in the grief process, because you can go back and you can read the original letters that you wrote at the beginning of your grieving process, and you can see where you are now, and you can see the progress that you made. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we do, or the things that we're able to accomplish. So you're still pretty young. And again, like I was 21 when my mom passed away, and that's what I use as motivation to push myself in life, to become successful, to finish school, to graduate, um, to finish the military. Um, these are all things that are motivated by the people I lost before me. So I do want you to know that there is peace at the end of this, and there's peace at some point. You just got to be able to find a way to keep those people inside of you and to use them as motivation, because truthfully, they wouldn't want you to sulk for the rest of your life. Like, obviously, I'm sure everybody wants to be grieved, and like they want people to cry at their funeral and to show up. But ultimately, like, our parents want the best for us, and if it's your grandparents want the best for your parents, who want your parents want the best for you. So um, grandparents want to see the next generation succeed. So that's kind of where I stand with that stuff, guys. I have been going now for about 90 minutes. I am gonna. Sorry, guys, my dog was. Rocky, stop. So I apologize, guys. So I'm about to log off. So I am planning on doing these on Tuesdays. Grief and loss. Again, my videos haven't really taken off for the grief and loss stuff. So being able to have like this community and be able to have people come on and actually talk in real time, even if you don't say anything, if you are brave enough. And again, I appreciate everybody that hopped in the chat and started putting stuff and kind of steered this conversation and allowed me to talk to you. And I hope that maybe some of the things I said helped. Um, if you want to go on some of my other videos, I do have some grief and loss videos. If you're feeling anything and you just want to put it there in the chat and you have questions, I will answer them. And if you want to log in next Tuesday, I'll continue this conversation. But I appreciate you guys watching. It's definitely an honor that you guys are feel comfortable enough to talk to me and allow me to enter your lives. So I know you don't believe in it, but I'm gonna pray for everybody that's been in this chat. I'm gonna pray for healing and for blessings in your lives. I pray that you guys have comfort and that you guys are able to find peace, and that you're able to find ways to experience your grief and loss, and that you're able to use that as a positive in your life moving forward, because that's what they would want from you. So I pray for blessings for you, and may God bless you all. And hope you have a good week and you find happiness. And please log in next week. Um, please check out some of my other videos. If you want a good laugh, I have dad jokes in there. They're good for a quick silly laugh. So Please consider subscribing and look out for more future videos and streams. So take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for logging in.